It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
Oh, we love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Venom. No, I'm kidding. It's Chris Dillard.
It's your friendly neighborhood Mike Royer over here.
Oh, wow. And this week we're reviewing Morbius, if you couldn't tell from our clues there. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Set your alarm for Doctor Strange tickets. This is new. This is hot this weekend. Moon Knight lands on Disney+. We're going to talk about that at the end of the show and more.
And more. And heads up, when we talk about Morbius at the top of the show, it will be spoiler-free, but since we just finished recording our spoiler cast, I keep remembering things about the movie that I wanted to bring up, so maybe I'll have some like super light spoilers that I'll sprinkle about Morbius at the top of the show. But something tells me that this is the type of movie that if you didn't already go and see, right, you don't care. Like, you don't care. A light spoiler here or there is not that big of a deal.
I don't think anything spoils this movie, Mike. I think you'll be fine regardless.
It seems like is this a film that's going to be on Netflix, right? Maybe under that new streaming contract, maybe later this year. I don't know. But I will stop. I'll keep bearing the lead. You'll find out what we thought about Morbius here in a minute.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea where any of these Sony movies are going ever or when. So your guess is as good as mine right now. So one of the sucky things about this week is that it's April Fool's Day on Friday, April 1st. That is the hardest day in news to figure out what's real and what's not real, because there were some things that did pop up in there that I don't have in our show notes, but like if you want to go look them up, like there's actually a leaked scene from Obi-Wan Kenobi actually out there. I thought that was fake the whole day. I'm like, there's no way this show's leaked. Oh yeah, it is. And then there's other things like, you know, Diablo was like, we're rebranding the game Diablo to be light and friendly and unicorny. I'm like, no, you're not. Like that, there's obvious fakes out there in the world, and it just sucks because for 48 hours I have to go through everything like 3 times to make sure it's real, and it just sucks for this for news podcasts, because we try to bring you the newest news that's real, so you don't have to go fight people and argue with them about it at the water cooler.
You're fighting a good fight, Chris, and I'm glad you're here. But unfortunately, we bring this up, I feel like, every year, but the power of April Fools on the internet, I feel like, has diminished year over year. You don't really kind of have those like big, like bombastic April Fools jokes anymore that I feel like you've seen from like bigger organizations where they actually put a lot of like maybe even like marketing dollars or art or research and development
IGN
into like faking stuff.
IGN always did like that Legend of Zelda TV show they did, and they
or like Google builds like a landing page for like a totally fake product that like doesn't exist. Like I feel like I don't see about those things anymore. And it's probably just because everything on the planet is like falling apart and like nobody really wants to put that out there. But the only thing about April Fools that I thought was funny was there's a very niche Twitter account out here called the Americana at brand Twitter account, which doesn't make any sense what I just said, but it's a fan Twitter account for a mall out here in Southern California, and they do memes specifically related to this mall that are really funny, but you're only going to understand them if you live out here. And then for one day on April Fools, they changed their focus from one mall to a different shopping center, and I know this makes no goddamn sense to what I'm saying, but it was funny, so that was my bonus April Fool's enjoyment for the day. But after that, really nothing came of April 1st for me, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, I've scrubbed through everything. It was also the same release date for Morbius. I believe one of the things related to us is Bruce Campbell, who's known for Sam Raimi movies, posted a fake picture of him in Doctor Strange makeup.
Oh, yeah. So I saw that.
I'm like, that's pretty fun. That one, that leans in the fan rumors. He's having a good time with it. So, you always double check yourself and make sure you're good to go. I lean skeptical. People know this, but the truth will always come out at the end of the day. So just a little heads up. Everything here's been vetted. We checked it all before we got in here. So no joking around, Mike. But you, no jokes, have finished your Underworld journey.
Oh my gosh, Chris, just in time. Last week I talked about it, how at the end of the month, things like to leave streaming services, and I kind of facetiously said, like, oh, I hope I finish it in time. And lo and behold, 3 days before the end of the month, and I'm watching the last Underworld movie, I get that little bug, that tiny little bug up on the corner of the thumbnail on my Peacock app that says, this is expiring in 3 days. So I just got done watching this film franchise, barring the prequel, Rise of the Lycans, which I didn't watch because it wasn't streaming.
Well, you need to stop right now and go record and come back.
I watched the movie trailer for it, so that was close enough, right? But this franchise really starts tanking it at the end. Man, that last movie in the franchise felt like this kind of like strange like vibe of like, oh, let's try to return to our roots of the Underworld franchise, which basically just meant let's make like the same movie over again of like vampires fighting Lycans of a coven. Like the werewolves get like a new leader, but like who cares who the leader is, but he's got a little charisma. And then there's always like a MacGuffin of like blood or something where they're trying to like end the war. And the only thing that changes is our main character gets like blonde hair after they're like magically reborn from the ice or something. I don't know. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. But if you were curious about the Underworld franchise in any way,
not at all.
I would just watch the first two movies. And if you really, really, really wanted to narrow it down, I would say just watch the second one. I think the second one has the most entertaining bits. It has like the best mixture of like minimal visual effects with fun practical effects, and then they kind of bring in this idea of kind of like a super vampire and like a super werewolf into the second movie. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, this is going to save a lot of people from buying Morbius tickets to watch some vampire movies.
Yeah, if you just want like a kind of just an encapsulation of what the Underworld series is, just watch the second one and you'll be fine and save a lot of time. But I have started now rewatching the Resident Evil movies. And I just finished rewatching the first one, and that is just a solid movie. That movie is just totally fine and adequate for like the zombie genre. Like even now, I feel like some of even the visuals still kind of stand up, almost even from like a cheesy point of view, even when they're showing like kind of like fake like 3D computer like UI and overlays. Like they look cheesy, but it's still kind of like fun. I had like this strange recollection. I thought that kind of the creature that appears in the third act, for some reason when I was a kid and watched the movie, I thought that creature was like claymated in some way. But rewatching it now, it's just very, very early kind of visual effects, kind of 3D animation and like shaders that they can render. But it still worked. It still looked fine. In some lighting, it looks bad, but in some lighting, it actually still looks pretty decent. Yeah. And overall, it's still good. The first Resident Evil movie is still good. So I'm queuing up the second one now. It's still, as far as I know, in the month of April, is on HBO Max. All of them are over there. And there's like 6 of these movies. That's insane.
Let me preface this. I've actually seen them all as well.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I've been to the theater for probably all but the last one.
Oh my God.
Again, mindless movies. You can just go to the theater and just escape for a day. Back in the days whenever you wanted to do that, because I think that first Resident Evil is what, 2002, 2003, right?
Yeah, 2002, I believe.
Yeah.
And then the sequel, I think, is 2004.
4 or 5. I remember going to see the theaters because that first one, you're right, it's very much horror based, right? Very much horror based. Mm-hmm. What's great about it is literally you don't know. It's like kind of like a game of Clue, right? Who's the bad guy? Who's the good guys? And at the same time, like literally nobody is safe. Like you don't know who is safe in this movie. I'm a big fan of the Red Queen, the
AI.
The AI. I love her kind of character in that. It was at the time, it was very interesting, very new kind of thing. So
and also, I watched all of those Underworld movies. I wouldn't say there's one particular scene that's iconic in any way, but there is a very iconic scene in that very first Resident Evil movie that every kind of like cinephile knows about, whether they like the movie or not, and it's that laser grid scene, right?
Yep.
They knocked it out of the park. That is iconic cinema. Like that is a cinema moment that came out of that movie, no matter what.
And I'm pretty sure doesn't she kick a dog in that one of the
Oh yeah. She kicks a couple different dogs.
Yeah, I remember those scenes, kind of standing out pretty well. But like, this Resident Evil is a true horror zombie film of the early 2000s.
Yeah, but luckily I don't know hardly anything about the other movies. I know that they're supposed to ramp up as the franchise goes on into kind of like more ridiculous action. So I'm kind of curious to see how that starts to creep in the sequel. And it's also, I feel like I'm I feel like I'm continuing a journey that I started as a kid, right? Because I totally forgot the first movie ends on this big cliffhanger where she's out in the streets of Raccoon City, like in like just like a medical gown and like a shotgun. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah. I went to the movie theater as a kid. I saw that scene, and for some reason, I never felt compelled to follow up. Well, I never went and saw the second movie.
I think it's interesting as well because like literally this is kind of like a prequel for the game, right? Like because you're not in the mansion, you're not in the police station, you're not actually in the city for this movie. You're in this underground. Was it the honeycomb, the hive? Yeah, the hive. So it's not the game. So it felt like it was a prequel to the games, So
yeah, and I would say like if there was a lot of dissenting voices that didn't like the movie back in the day, they were probably like, oh, this is nothing like the game that I played and grew up with. But now as IP has become more adapted in kind of this current generation, it is totally acceptable and almost like encouraged, championed to go in like a different, unique direction, like capture the spirit of your IP, but make it work for a movie. And so I felt like they were kind of ahead of their time working on that first film. So let's see how quickly this devolves moving down the line, but I'll keep everybody updated as the weeks go on.
I definitely expect you to text me these because I'll know exactly where you are the whole way through.
Gotcha. But I have to signal bounce this show because I feel like it takes a little bit of extra work to get people to log into Apple Plus and watch what's going on over there. There's this absolutely amazing show on Apple Plus right now, and it looks like the final episode is airing when you're listening to this now this week. It comes out on Fridays. It's called Severance, and I believe I brought it up earlier when we just started watching it, but I wanted to
you brought it up a couple times.
I wanted to re-encourage everybody to go watch Severance. It's so great. I frustratingly threw the hat off of my head when we watched episode 8 because it ends like right on like a cliffhanger, like right where you're waiting for this episode to go up, and I just like threw my hat across the room. I was like, son of a bitch, I gotta wait till next week for this. So it's been a while since I've really been engaged, I feel like, in a piece of media like this. I've been pretty radio silence when it comes to like looking the show up online. I don't really know what the reception is. I don't know what the viewership is. I don't know what the critical rating is, and I don't care to know. I probably will look it up after I finish it. But there is one big pet peeve here, Chris, and that is the shroud that comes around a streaming series when it starts to air, because it was very difficult for me to Google this show and how many episodes they're supposed to be. Like if you Google how many episodes are supposed to be in Severance, some articles tell you 7, which is ridiculous because I just finished the 8th episode, right? Some articles say, oh, it's just 8. But then if you go on the Wikipedia page, looks like there's a line item for episode 9. And it's so important to know how many episodes that you have, because if you don't know, you never know when you're watching the season finale, right? You kind of just have to infer based on how the storylines are progressing of whether you're on a finale or not. Because last week was episode 8, and if there's a viewer out there that thinks episode 8 was the season finale, they're going to be absolutely pissed because it ended so much like in the middle of a moment, right? Like it ended kind of like the Sopranos series ended, right? Just kind of cut to black. So all I'm saying is if you are a streaming executive that for some bizarre reason happens to be listening to this podcast, give me some idea, right? When you're reading a book, when you're coming up on the last chapter, right? So let me know, please, in some way. Like, I'm in episode 8 out of 9 or something like that. I just need to know. You don't have to tell me if there's going to be a season 2. I understand that takes a while to announce, but at least let me know when I'm going to be watching the final episode. So that's my little soapbox moment for you, Chris.
Yeah, it's hard to find these things because, I'm going to talk about, I was able to get into the second episode of Halo because we always talk about pilots are kind of like finding the ground, finding the story, finding the voice and stuff. And I think Halo 2 really has picked up, Halo Episode 2, not Halo 2 the game, picked up a lot of that. Like, we're not building up who are the Covenant, who are the Spartans, what is this project. Really kind of got into more of like who the Master Chief is and what he's doing and a little bit more into the history. And it was I think, a better representation of what the story is going to be. It kind of feels almost a little... there's a lot of parallels to what I would say The Mandalorian for this. Like you have a masked super soldier who's got a person and an item, and they're just trying to figure out what to do with it. But I gotta say it's a better show. But I don't know how many episodes Halo is off the top of my head, and I'm like, should I look it up?
It's like, do you just infer that it's 8 because it's probably pretty expensive? Or are they trying to get a couple more episodes out of it so they get more runtime out of their streaming service? Like, so you think maybe 8, but then weirdly enough, 9 episodes is like a run. So you never know if it's 8, 9, or 10. And if it goes beyond 10, it could go to 12 or 13, right? And then if it's going beyond 13 and it's like a premium streaming show, it's like, well, what the hell's going on here? Nothing ever goes beyond 13 episodes anymore.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, like, what's going on. I mean, it's fine. I could probably, like, it's probably not 8 or 9, but, like, we're used to even numbers, and then sometimes they'll throw these odd numbers in, and you're like, which one is it?
And also, if you're Netflix, they could be splitting it into 2 parts. So it could be, like, 6 episodes, and then there's a break, and then you get 6 more. Or if it's super premium, and it's a limited series, it might just go 4 episodes. You just never know. We just need some clarity, people.
Yeah. Like, could they, like, have, like, a 2 out of 9, like in like the list of like, I know they don't want to show the episode titles. Maybe even just put episode 3, episode 4 in their release dates. Like that would be great because some shows even skip release dates. Like the like, oh, we're gonna do like I guess like what was it? Was our Flag Beans Death was like 3, 3, and 3, or like 3, 3, and 4, or something weird like that.
Or like 3, 3. I think it was 3 and then 3 and then it was like 2, 2, 2 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, exactly, right? So, like, you just a little bit of help would help. I mean, we look into this stuff. I guarantee you there are people out there who do not. And, probably makes them, I wouldn't say maybe frustrated, but it would help out a little bit. It'd go a long way. So, that's what we've been doing. Mike, let's jump into the news because we're hot. We're hot off the presses of recording our Morbius review. Like I said, you're still less than a day from it. I'm a little over a day from it. We were able to see it this weekend. Mike, this is one of the first times in a long time he's bought his tickets before I bought mine because I bought mine at the box office of the theater. I did not pre-order them. But I don't have a Cinemark membership, so I'd have to pay the online fees to get the tickets.
Yeah,
and I was like,
those are rough.
And I'm like, maybe I can get a membership later, but right now I'm just going to go across the street and get my tickets. And despite the number of cars in the parking lot, I think I chose a 12:40 screening, which was like the right time to be there on a Saturday for that. So you wanna jump in with your spoiler-free thoughts now, mind you. If you want the full spoilers, you can go listen to our review. I still think there's very little to be spoiled, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, spoiler-free. Not much to recommend here in Morbius, unfortunately. I think this one would be pretty easily skipped no matter where this kind of Sony villain universe ends up going. All of the performance in the movie are fine. They're completing their assignment, but there's just not much to go off of here, unfortunately. The story kind of abandons and changes its rules whenever it kind of deems necessary, and this movie is chopped to pieces. I feel like I am very tolerant when it comes to the editing of a movie. I'm not much of an editor. I don't have much of an editing background in any way, so these choices can really go over my head pretty quickly, but it is very glaring to notice that there are bits of this movie that have been chopped and dismantled, maybe for the better, because our runtime ends up only being an hour and 48 minutes, which was a saving grace. But there actually is a standout success in this movie, and that is the visual effects. I thought the visual effects of the display of the powers and even the transformation, what it looks like to be a vampire in this movie, that was pretty astounding, actually. I would say top-notch, A+. So if you are just want to see it from a visuals point of view, I would recommend it. If you're familiar with what the character of Morbius looks like, towards the third act of the film, usually superheroes start to look a little bit more like their comic book counterparts, kind of as they have progressed in their origin. And yeah, there's a moment near the end of the film where you're just like, yeah, that looks like the Morbius I remember watching from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon growing up. So they do a good job visualizing everything, but the story is unfortunately lacking in every single way, and I do not think I could recommend Morbius, Chris.
I mean, we literally echo the same sentiments, ironically, without talking about it beforehand. I think this movie, as someone who did go to film school and knows about editing, this movie literally is all over the place. It's up here, it's down there, it's over there, it's over here, back and forth. It literally, like you said, they cut it to get, I guess, more butts in seats for your run times, right? Because we talked, we're literally in and out in 2 hours. Perfect screen time. We haven't had a showing like that, including the trailers and the post-credit scenes, in a long time. So that was beautiful. But like the editing is just maddening. There's pieces in here that make no sense. It connects it through itself. But I will, again, in a good note, it means the movie literally sprints through most of this stuff. Like you don't have to linger. You're not waiting for anything. There's not a lot of mystery here. Like you can see the movie working its way out through most of itself, but the creative choices they made to give Michael Morbius his abilities and what that looks like, which we've seen briefly in the trailers, comes to life. It really shines, and it just, they don't know what they're doing. What is the rules of this universe, which is apparently as the trailer says, in the Venom universe, even though you never see Venom, so spoiler there, you don't see Venom, I guess, Mike. But like, it really just, I don't know. It just makes no sense sometimes, and that can be more frustrating. At the end, I was expecting more of a train wreck, like literally, like like I said, Fantastic Four, or like, to some of those other movies. It's not that bad of a train wreck out the gate. It's just like we said, or like I said, it's a competent film, but it's mediocre at best. And mediocrity is sometimes a worse sin than trying for something and failing, or trying for something and succeeding. So yeah,
it's like it's not a swing and a miss. It's like a bunt, but the bunt didn't go well, and you didn't even get on first base.
Yeah. Well, I would say you're swinging for a home run. They bunted it, got to maybe first base, and you're like, okay, well now we need something to pull us out of this first base and make this movie, actually worthwhile. You can check it out. We don't know where this movie's going to stream, to be completely honest. We were talking about that earlier, so I can't say even wait 45 days for Netflix, because I don't know if it's going to go there. But our full review episode is available if you're subscribed to our regular show. It'll be right there in the feed.
Go check it out. Near the end of it, we have a nice little conversation about what we think the future of the in association with Marvel Universe looks like, which was pretty fun. We put out some predictions, so we'll see if those come to fruition and see if we have our own little crystal ball and how well it's polished. But yeah, rough time at the theaters yesterday.
Yeah, well, but the theater going experiences were not bad for either of us. We'll go ahead and put that out there. So
well, the odds are a lot easier when the seats aren't full, Chris.
It's true, and nothing else was releasing this weekend, so there wasn't a crowd. You're fighting the crowd to go see, for lack of a better, like, I don't think anyone was there to see Batman, but Batman's still a good movie. Like, if this had come out the weekend Batman did, it would have been even impier. So anyway, moving along, Doctor Strange, I believe, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, is our next superhero movie, correct?
May, right?
Yep, May 6th. And 1 month ahead of time, this Wednesday on April 6th, tickets will be on sale. So I believe this movie, it may not make Spider-Man money out the gate, but I bet I mean, these tickets are going to sell quickly this week. So if you want to see it opening weekend, that Thursday, that Friday, hell, hopefully they have like a Tuesday fan experience. Hell, I could watch that.
Yeah.
I'd jump on it as soon as you can this week.
Yeah. I don't quite remember the original release schedule before the pandemic, right? But I feel like there hasn't been a whole lot of time in between when Spider-Man No Way Home came out and then when we're expecting to see Doctor Strange. So I feel like this movie will definitely be riding high on the vibes from Spider-Man, unlike Morbius did. Just because you're in a Spider-Man universe does not mean anything. But yeah, the last time the general movie-going audience saw Doctor Strange, he was in one of the bigger superhero movies of all time, and now he's back on screen again. Wanda's coming back, who had huge moments throughout the MCU. More importantly, she was the very first streaming series on Disney Plus, and an amazing TV show. So everything is pointing to multiversal fun and mayhem here. So yeah, I will stay tuned on Wednesday to grab my tickets as soon as I can.
Yeah, and again, Sam Raimi coming back, 2 superhero movies after giving us, the first 3 Spider-Man movies, right? Movies people still talk about to this day, getting in here. There looks to be some horror aspect. The trailers have been great. I've got a lot of questions. I've got a lot of theories, but overall, I think we both agree this is going to be a really, really fun time. Even at the end of the day. I mean, it's funny to think, when Doctor Strange came out in 2016, people were just like, yeah, it's okay. But then they saw him in Infinity War and like, holy shit, we need more Doctor Strange after he took on Thanos. So
it's the shackles of those origin movies, right? You can only make them so fun. Like, I think once you see Simu Liu and Shang-Chi outside of his origin movie, we'll be having a great time as well.
Yeah.
Like even the Black Panther movie isn't really an origin movie, right? They put him in the suit like in Civil War, and it wasn't even really an origin. Like that suit had just existed and in his country.
Spider-Man the same way. I mean, Spider-Man and Black Panther both debuted in Civil War, and their movies are like, we don't have to explain the origin. Here's here are your movies, and go for it.
Now all the origins are looks like moving over to Disney Plus.
Yeah, most of them. So we'll talk about. I don't even know if the one we watched this week is an origin yet or not. Well,
yeah,
I'm interested to see that. So we'll talk more about that. But Doctor Strange tickets on Wednesday, April 6th. Do not delay. I am very excited for the opportunity to buy these and get in there as soon as I can. So
I'm going to put a reminder in my phone right now, Chris.
Yes, I will probably stay up till midnight that night just to cover my bases. Or hopefully they might be like 9 a.m. or something. So if we know more, we'll let you guys know. But just go ahead. Plan on Wednesday. Loki is been recorded as the most watched Marvel series on Disney Plus. According to the latest data, there's some sort of, I don't know the company off the top of my head, but they track how many people are watching stuff when people talk about it. It's not exactly Disney Plus numbers, but it's the closest thing we have to figuring it out. And I'm glad to hear that. After I'm a big fan of the Loki series beforehand, and it's I'm glad to hear that a lot of people tuned into it. Again, Tom Hiddleston, a staple from back in the MCU early days, getting his own movie, and I think maybe just the discussion of it, right? Loki was in the news quite a bit when it was coming out.
Yeah, it had a lot going for it, right? It was a character who was essentially coming back from the dead. We knew that there was going to be kind of I don't even know if multiverse was necessarily in the conversation before Loki came out, but we knew it was in discussion. So it was just doing a lot more for the MCU at large than I would say WandaVision was, even though I loved WandaVision, but it was more of an intimate, personal story, whereas Loki was he was like running all around. Of course he was going through his own character development, right? But he was literally going through dimensions and planets and multiverses and really shook things up at the very end with that big finale. It had a cliffhanger. Unfortunately, probably what drove people to talk about it the most is it didn't really get a satisfying ending at all. So I feel like we're just kind of waiting for part 2 of Loki.
and it's only show thus far renewed for season 2 out of everything last year as well. So WandaVision's kicking off into Doctor Strange, Falcon Winter Soldier is kicking off Captain America 4, Loki is season 2, Hawkeye. Nothing's announced yet, but I feel Hawkeye season 2 is is still in the cards. That was last year. I'm thinking 2021 was What If that last year? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. It's not in this number data, so it must have been live action stuff here. This is from a company. It's the Hollywood Reporter from Nielsen. So Nielsen is measuring minutes watched on series. Of course, The Mandalorian was the number one show, season 2, obviously. So I don't think that's a big surprise here for anybody, but yeah, I'm happy Hawkeye, or not Hawkeye. Hawkeye was the lowest of the shows, but Loki took home the top because I really enjoyed that. Had a really good time, and like you said, it kind of really set up early stages of the multiverse, right? Like, you know, the idea of like, oh, you can change something and it'll be multiple times, and then also, you know, a character introduced in this will be making his way into Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and other shows along the way. So very, very excited. Congratulations, Loki. On the other bit of this, you probably saw this, Mike. Falcon and Winter Soldier, there were some episode versions uploaded to Disney Plus that seemed to be less gruesome, like less blood splatters on some of the scenes. Did you see this?
Yeah, and it looks like it could possibly be an issue with the new parental controls that they have.
Yes. So apparently these were never meant to be uploaded on like the US servers. Like, I think is where they saw like this might have been edited for other countries, but Disney was like, this is not we're not, because of the parental controls, we're not editing the previous shows, because they didn't edit the blood off of the Shield when he literally decapitated somebody. It was like when the scientist got shot and there was some blood splatters on his shirt. It wasn't really like that gruesome. But like these will apparently be restored, and I'm gonna guess again could be related to the parental control launching, right? Like that was literally last week, 2 weeks ago, due to the Defenders, and those shows.
It would be a little strange though for them to, like, if you really think about it, like, oh, do we really want to make sure our catalog for children is big enough? So, let's edit some blood out of Falcon and the Winter Soldier so kids can watch that. I feel like that's almost like a waste of money on there, and like you're going to pay like a visual effects person to go in there and remove that blood. It's just strange that they did it in the first place.
Well, I think there's these versions exist for other countries' rating systems, not ours. Like they already have these versions out there. There's not one master version, but there's probably like one version that's got like everything in it, and one that's like scaled back. My guess would be, or the best case scenario for me, I think, would be, yes, you have on PG-13, hey, some of these shows like literally hover on the PG-13 era. We've made some minor edits to meet those, or whatever. TV ratings are different ratings. They're not PG-13.
I mean, I guess, but by that logic too, it would also be like very unsatisfying for like a child or like even like a younger teenager, because it's like, oh, you see this big cinematic universe, right, that you're really into. You can't watch all of them though.
Yeah,
we can only show you this one because it just happened to have enough blood that we can edit out of it. So you can watch this one, but none of the other ones. It's just strange. But like, yeah, it makes more sense like if it's like regional, right? Like, well, this country overseas, like you can't get away with that much blood because like they always say, like America loves its like violence on TV, and we can get away with it a lot more. But no nipples, right? No nipples, but
no nudity, and blood. But blood, and the other one's no blood but nudity.
But I don't blame Disney for getting any flack about it. They edited out like a mermaid's butt, right, for like 2 seconds running into the water. So yeah, they deserve any sort of like headaches that they get because they're asking for it.
And this is great. This is great. I'm glad people are able to notice these with their eagle eyes. Like this is the same thing at the end of WandaVision where they're like, oh, there's someone floating through the sky, right? Like it's that's obviously Doctor Strange going to Wanda's house. Thing, like people, like they updated that like what 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the thing, and people are watching with that kind of granularity, so good for them. But Disney did come out and they were like, yes, it is a version issue, and the wrong file was published, so they've fixed it. No one else probably would have noticed this and would ever have made the news had someone not been looking at that. So
who's out there rewatching The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? There's don't
fans.
Watch it.
There are fans.
I don't like it. Go watch something else.
No, too bad. You got to let other people watch what they
want
to.
Not Mike approved.
Gotta let him do it. My guess is, and this is down a whole nother rabbit hole. There's a tech thing where like if you download it locally, like because they have like the download locally option for some of the stuff, the file name is changed, and that's all they're doing is looking at the file name. It's like, oh, this file name's different. There's obviously a change in here. Run it through some software to tell me what's different, kind of thing.
Yeah, there's somebody out there doing something crazy like that.
Yeah, my guess is just purely software generated stuff. So, knock on wood. Ironheart is one of those shows that's in production and possibly should be introduced in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the sequel to Black Panther. And recently, the actor in Ironheart, I can't think of his name, is it Anthony Ramos, who was in The Heights. He's going to be in the show, said Ryan Coogler is part of the team working on this project for Ironheart. We don't know.
That's cool.
I don't know if he's directing, writing, producing, whatever he is, but it sounds like he's got a big hand in this Disney Plus series coming out.
I mean, it's not a bad direction to take if we're to allude that Ironheart could cross over into some sort of like Wakandan tech in some way, right? You know, it feels like Wakanda is going to be kind of more of the tech hub for the MCU moving forward now that Tony is gone, even though it's not like his company would disappear, right? Stark Industries. But, you know, it seems like Wakanda will be a big portion of that. And we saw at the end of the very first Black Panther movie, which seems like a million years ago now when it comes to this universe, that they were kind of doing that outreach, you know, the communities, and like maybe that's where this kind of takes off. So yeah, I would say that's not a bad working team to bring in.
No, I think he's great. He's had really good success with Black Panther. If they want to tie it together, even better. If not, you know, just someone who's got a good pedigree at Marvel, right? To work on their shows is totally acceptable either way. So I don't think it's bad. I think. There's really been. I think they have a writer, like a lead writer for the show, but like no showrunner. I don't think Ryan Coogler would be a showrunner while he's working on this, but like if he's got time and gets a producer credit, it would be even better.
Well, also in the world of kind of like Marvel streaming shows, like the showrunner in the traditional sense, like doesn't really exist. It is kind of like that head writer that kind of takes control over the story, but then there's usually just like a team of like producers, like including Kevin Feige, that are kind of technically running the whole shebang. So it takes a village, right?
Takes a village to grow an MCU. Yeah, I'm excited. We'll see how this plays out and keep you guys posted. Hopefully some more stuff this year on these upcoming shows, because we're on first quarter of the year's over, so we've got some more to come. So I'll keep you posted. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, this really wrecked me for a little bit, Mike. This really tore me up. It's been delayed. Did you know this? I think I told you this.
Oh man, how long are we gonna have to wait?
2 extra days. Everyone can calm their asses down. It's delayed 2 days. However, on Friday, May 27th, they will now get 2 episodes rather than 1. My theory is Star Wars is going to go to Fridays and Marvel's going to keep on Wednesdays because this will overlap with literally Miss Marvel. But what do I know?
I mean, I'm okay with that. I like Fridays and Sundays for streaming content in the middle of the week, especially when the episode becomes available at like midnight. It's strange. I sometimes I just legitimately forgot to watch Hawkeye on Wednesdays when it was airing because I just forgot. So Wednesday, the middle of the week, you got other stuff going on. So I like that something is coming to Fridays. Now it's interesting, this other bullet point that you have written down here, that since it's a Friday, it's going up against other media properties now.
Yeah, so that was the other thing. This was literally moved 2 days to a very, very busy Friday. May 27th is Top Gun Maverick, which I was telling someone, we've been seeing this for, 3 years now, Mike? We saw it in 2019's Comic-Con panel. A new trailer dropped a week ago. I saw it in front of Morbius. So we will finally get to see this May 27th. And then also the first part of Stranger Things Season 4 will drop on Netflix that day. So is this a streaming war kind of
I mean, talk about juggernauts, right? Probably the biggest property that Netflix has, which is de facto the biggest streaming service on the planet, going up against probably the two most recognizable things on the planet when it comes to branding, which is Disney, and then content, which is Star Wars. So that'll be, that'll be difficult, right? Because like when it comes to Netflix, everything drops at once, right? So if you decide that you're going to check out Stranger Things first, I mean, that's going to be at least like 5 to 6 hours of content right there for part one. So, that theoretically could be pushing, Obi-Wan into Saturday for you, but,
I'm going to lean the other way. I think
plans.
I'd be like, I got 2 hours on a Friday night to watch Obi-Wan. I'm going to bang that out first. And then spend Saturday or Sunday watching Stranger Things.
I mean, we're lucky that we're not doing breaking news on a weekly basis. But if you're like a media outlet, right, you got to have all hands on deck. You got to have somebody finishing Stranger Things as fast as possible so you can start writing all of those like hit pieces and articles that you got to do. Somebody's got to be on top of Obi-Wan. Someone's probably been to the theater writing their review for Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
What a busy media day.
It's gonna be a big weekend. We'll see how this works. Again, I think Disney Plus may have the upper hand on longevity, because Stranger Things may be a blip on the radar, but by the time next Friday rolls around with episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's gonna be back in the news cycle again, right? Like that's one of the things we talked about with Netflix, really not staying with the news cycle, and that's hurting some of their shows. So I'm excited for 2 episodes even premiere. Like I was like, we're gonna do one at a time, but that means if it's 6 episodes, we'll be done by June. So throughout the month of June, while we're watching Miss Marvel on Wednesdays and this on Fridays. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great month for nerds all around. Do you remember that they announced a Lando series a while back?
I honestly didn't remember that.
I didn't either, but apparently people have been asking Donald Glover if he's going to be involved with this, because he played him in the Solo movie, right? And apparently he's been playing coy when asked about the spinoff series. So I was like, oh yeah, this is it. We've not heard anything really on any of the extra Star Wars spinoffs, right? Like I think the Ahsoka one has been filming, but has anything else really made any headway, you think?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Donald Glover is just kind of coy in general. He just kind of has that personality. I feel like whenever he gets in front of like a camera or a microphone. But also, since his show Atlanta is on FX, he's still very much within kind of like the Disney corporate family. So, I mean, there could be like conversations happening, that maybe he can't talk about. Maybe he'll executive produce something but won't actually be in it. I don't know. Personally, I don't think I need this show. I don't want to go back anymore. I don't want to look at the old Star Wars movies anymore. I feel like everything's been so mined to hell. Like we can keep moving forward on Mandalorian because they're kind of more focusing on Mandalore and the Darksaber and what it is to kind of be a bounty hunter. Like I feel like I just personally do not need to go back to the original trilogy anymore. I've had enough. I've been ground down too long.
This would be I think this is between the first trilogy and second trilogy, which there is a little bit of opportunity because there's really no Lando up until Empire Strikes Back, right? So I would be interested to see how he gets to Cloud City. I don't think we need multiple seasons. I think there'd be one season like the Adventures of Lando throughout the universe, and then at the end of it, it's like he's in charge of Cloud City, kind of thing. I think Donald Glover, he's a great actor. He was really infectious as a role as Lando back then. I think he could probably pull this one out of whatever, like you said, mundane hell it would be to revisit stuff. Because we don't know. It doesn't touch on anything. We don't need him following Han Solo. We don't need him touching anything going on main story-wise.
And I'll be really clear. I think a talented storyteller can make a good story out of literally anything. Literally anything. I'm not even talking about Star Wars. Like an ant crawling across the floor. If somebody is a good writer, they can make that compelling. So I'm not saying you can't make a story like this compelling. I just don't need to see it anymore. Is just how I feel. So I imagine the pitch of kind of like this easygoing, just kind of like gambler, like flying through the galaxy, how he becomes kind of like a diplomat of a city. That sounds like it could be a really like intriguing story, but I just don't care.
Again, I'm going to lean the other way because this, like you said, this doesn't touch the main stories anymore. It doesn't do anything different than the Mandalorian's doing. I think this has opportunity. My goal would be if they do this that they don't lean into that, right? They don't like we don't need to see the New Hope from, hey, Lando happened to be at the cantina at the same time. We don't need that shit. Like, I'd rather see him doing his own journey and getting there, but like it doesn't, like, I agree, it doesn't need to touch the main story, but I think this one of them has the most opportunity to be fun of the in between episodes 1 and 2, or episodes 3 and 4, first trilogy versus second trilogy, because we don't have that thing, and then there's some opportunity to quote unquote mine it without making it feel like this is important to how Star Wars is looked back upon, if you will, right? Like, we don't need it like, oh, he was really the reason why Hoth, was they got away because he gave money. We don't need that kind of shit. Like, it just Lando out doing his own thing in the galaxy. Maybe it's Atlanta, but set on the planet Atlanta. Can we do that with him?
Sure.
he's already got that done. They just do it over there. But if Donald Glover comes back to play Lando, I would much rather have that than a new actor as well. I think he's a great actor. So, House of the Dragons. This is a Game of Thrones spinoff. Do you want more Game of Thrones? Has the last season gotten the bad taste out of your mouth yet?
The thing I'm most interested about this is just seeing how the general public reacts. Right, one of the biggest TV shows of all time. Not only compelling story-wise in the beginning, but expensive, breaking records. One of the last times we all got together as a culture, right, on Sunday nights to watch this, and then they just shat the bed.
Yep.
I'm just curious to see how many people come back.
Yeah, it doesn't look different enough. Like, to me, it doesn't, like, from the images I've seen or whatever, it doesn't look like it's actually, it's the Targaryen Empire, which is the dragon people. So yes, there's going to be dragons and stuff and the blonde haired people, but like, is there enough difference here, or is it just going to be like the same? Like,
yeah. And we've brought this up on the show before. One of the unforeseen complications when it kind of comes to a medieval-esque landscape is you don't get enough visual differences when you go back in time. Like, it's not like when you go from like the 1800s to 2021 or something like that. You jump forward generations. Like, so many things have visually changed, different technologies, different intricacies. Like, this is just gonna, like you said, it's gonna visually look pretty much identical, just with different characters, right?
Same out. Like, I'm looking at some of the screenshots here. The same outfits, the same hairstyles, the same yellow lighting and like armor. I'm like, I could easily confuse this for an episode of regular Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and trust me, I'm sure there's historians and very, very talented costume designers that know like the little nuances between different periods. Like, oh well, see, since the show takes place like 200 or 300 years or something in the past, like we've incorporated like more beaded items or something into things, so it more reflects a time period stuff. Nobody's gonna pick up on that when they're watching it. It's just gonna be like, oh, I guess that's like Ned Stark's like great uncle or something. Okay, like we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We're in a holding pattern.
Yeah, we're in a holding pattern. I mean, I'll give it a shot on the pilot. We have HBO Max, so I'll be checking out. But I'm just like, I'm gonna say I'm in a bad mood from it. But I'm just like, I don't see the difference. So if you're not gonna give me anything different, why even do it at the end of the day? So
I'll throw it on. I'll throw it on just to see what it's like out of sheer curiosity.
Oh, agreed. Something that I didn't think I'd ever be excited for is actually a Sonic the Hedgehog sequel, Mike, for the movie. Did you ever watch the first one yet? Have you watched the first one?
No, I still haven't gotten around to it.
I'm actually I don't know if I want to watch this in theaters because I didn't watch the first one in theaters, so it hasn't gotten me like enough to drag me out of the of my house next weekend. But it is time for a sequel. We've got Jim Carrey returning as Dr. Robotnik, this time bald with the big mustache, Mike. He's going full Eggman look, and Idris Elba voicing Knuckles. So, the first one's just so much fun. I'm excited to see what the reviews say for this one, just to kind of get the vibes on it. I do know the post-credit scenes have been leaked online for this. So it sounds like they're banking for a third one.
Chris, this is going to be one of the few times where if you have that link, I'm actually want to watch it because I feel so uninvested in the franchise that I'll watch the end credit scene for the sequel. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
So
I think
if you come across that link, send it my way.
I will definitely do that. I would recommend, if you get a chance and you're wanting to step away from Resident Evil this week, the first one's enjoyable. I really think you might have a good time with it.
I've heard positive things about it, right? It's just like, I don't know. I just have not felt drawn to it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't either until I said, I mean, everyone remembers the cry, was it 3 years ago? Everyone's like, Sonic looks stupid as hell. Like, it looks stupid. So they delayed the movie to actually redesign Sonic, and it came back and made a lot of money, made a lot of people happy, so much that they've done this one now with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Just, I mean, I grew up playing Sonic too. I didn't have a Super Nintendo. I had the Sega Genesis. So it gives me some warm fuzzies there. I really want to see what goes on with this. What's the guy who voices his name? He was in Parks and Rec. I don't remember do you remember his name off the top of your head?
I forgot his name off the top. John Ralphio is what everybody basically ends up calling him, right?
Yeah, exactly. His name's not even in here if you look it up. He's not even in the first page of actual like actors. That is sad. Yeah. Anyway, that's coming this weekend. If I find it, I'll send it to you. My wife did remind me the Secrets of Dumbledore is the week after that. This feels. I'm in a weird place, Mike.
It is. Yeah, it is a weird time to be a Harry Potter fan or married to a Harry Potter fan. I don't know if there's like an embargo of people had seen this movie, but I swear I remember reading something where somebody said like, oh no, this one's actually good. So that's kind of what I've been hearing.
So yes. So there are two things I feel weird about. One is movies are coming back at a frequency that you can go to the movie literally any weekend right now. And I'm not used to that yet because we've been out of this for 2 full years at this point. So I'm like, do I want to go see Sonic and then Dumbledore and Morbius and then Doctor Strange? Do I feel okay with this? I don't know yet. But yes, we are not Harry Potter people, Mike. Would you agree? We are Harry Potter adjacent.
Yeah, Harry Potter adjacent. That's a great way to put it.
Yes,
I would say I'm more invested in Harry Potter than I am in like James Bond. But I'm not approaching any sort of like super fan level of that universe.
You couldn't, if I set one of these movies in front of you, you wouldn't know if it was a good Harry Potter movie. You would just know if you had a good time at the movie. like that's how I feel. I didn't think the last one was that bad. Apparently, people didn't like it. I was like, I'm okay with it. I think we both agreed. We were like, yes, fine. It's doing what it's doing, magic. But apparently people are actually really enjoying The Secrets of Dumbledore. They say it's a swing back in the right direction. So if I'm going to take this as if we enjoyed the last one, then that means we're going to have that much more fun at this one.
We shall see.
I think Jude Law is a good actor. This is Mads Mikkelsen's first outing as what's his name? Grindelwald, right? Since Johnny Depp was removed from the franchise. We've got the ever unstable Ezra Miller returning as well.
Ooh, did you see those headlines, Chris?
I did see the headlines. He is.
If you are unaware, he was basically thrown out of a bar from being disorderly and arrested. I thought it was so funny when I was reading the article. He was like, "Well, he posted $500 bond or bail and then left." I was like, "Oh, I wonder how he swung $500 to get out of jail."
And then he threatened to burn a couple's house down with him in it, like literally, like the next day.
Gosh. And then encapsulate that with like the whole like fandom encounter he had. What was like in Sweden or Norway or Amsterdam or something, where he was like supposedly choking somebody. And then, like, I can only imagine the amount of sweat, that's coming off of Warner Brothers. Like, he is carrying 2 of our biggest franchises, Harry Potter and Flash, and we're banking so much on this idiot.
Well, the worst part is, I would say he's doing 2.5 because he's playing double Flashes in the Flash movie, right? Two Barry Allens. I'm like, oh.
Well, wouldn't it be a shame if the Speed Force altered his appearance in some way?
Yeah.
Maybe Mads Mikkelsen ends up being.
Well, there are always multiple. We could always go with the other speedsters rather than Barry Allen, right? There's always several others to choose
Someone
from.
should just sit him down and be like, listen, with the power of magic in Harry Potter or the power of the Speed Force, we can easily change how you look. Yeah. So be careful.
We have fired Johnny Depp. Like you are running close, man. Like you're right up there. But yeah, I'm excited to watch this and go see it. My wife is. She's gonna. This is we brought up. I live literally next to a Cinemark. I could throw a rock and hit it. And we used to go to the AMC, which is where I have all my points and stuff at, but it's across town now, since we moved last year. And she's like, I'll just buy Cinemark tickets. We don't have to go watch it in IMAX. I'm like, but all the points on my memberships, like this sucks. But
my points, woman. But
it's so close. Like literally, if I was like, I don't want to drive over there today, I could walk over there, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, it's just first world problems at the end of the day. But I'm excited to watch this. Maybe. We'll see. It might be a full month of movies for the first time in years. So, knock on wood. All right, we're at the end of the episode. You know what happens at the end of the episodes these days, Mike?
We look up at the moon and howl.
That's right. We look up at the moon at night. And if you put those together, you get Moon Knight. See what I did there? It's a new show on Disney Plus from Marvel. It's so we're going to discuss this. There'll probably be some spoilers for the first episode. If you've not watched it, again, free on Disney Plus, go check it out. And so we're gonna dive in. Time codes are down here. Literally, this is the last thing, and we don't have any news after this. So if you want to tune out, go watch it, come back, listen. That'd be great. We're gonna be doing this, covering this probably every week if it's applicable. And so once we get there, this should take us through April up to Doctor Strange. So, Mike, you ready to dive into this? I don't think we've talked about Moon Knight at all.
No, we haven't talked about it at all. So, I did watch it when it came out on Wednesday. I did not forget. It was a Wednesday show, and I had a great time. Yeah. I love the anticipation that they built up in the episode. I loved Oscar Isaac's performance. I had realized watching this, it had been a while since I had watched anything with him in it. I know he's been in things, since I had seen him in other movies, but I just hadn't engaged with him in a while. He was just very infectious playing this other character. Now, I kind of already knew what was going on here, that he had, split personality or DID or whatever diagnosis it is officially. But my wife didn't know, so it was kind of fun watching it with her as she kind of figured out, like, why is he putting sand around his bed? Why is he doing this? Why is he not remembering different days?
Like, that's the thing here. She's like, well, how many people are in his head? I'm like, well, in the comic books, it's very different than the show. So we're all going to have to discover this together throughout the show, because I think they're going to throw a lot of curveballs at us. But go ahead.
I love the effect of what it was like for him to be encroaching on an altercation, and then basically in the flash of an eye, there's bodies surrounded by him, and he doesn't know what's happening either. So I just thought the whole creative device of this first episode was really, really, really fun.
I enjoyed meeting Steven as a personality. Oscar Isaac really nails this. It's a British accent, but like a very timid person, right? Like, he knows he's got problems. He straps himself to the bed because he thinks he sleepwalks. Trying to be very conscious about it, but like, people walk all over him, right? Like, he's not, as a person, not very confident in himself.
Not very assertive.
And as Khonshu calls him, the idiot is in charge again. So I think like you said, the intrigue is here. Like, he's starting to wake up in different places, but they're not kind of shying away from this villain either of Ethan Hawke. Like, I thought they would like not cross paths until maybe halfway through the season. But we've already met Ethan Hawke, who plays it's not Arthur. Is it Arthur Harrow, right? I believe is his name. Who apparently has some sort of ability and some sort of connection with another Egyptian god to judge people based on his little cane swinging back and forth. So there's a lot of mystery there. He seems to be maybe some sort of like cult religious leader in a small town.
Yeah, I mean, walking around with glass in his shoes. Oh yeah, he is crazy. Yeah, for sure.
Very much, buying into this. He's got like sleeper agents possibly in every town based on what we've seen so far.
The ability to bring some sort of demons to life, or I don't know if he is bringing like statues to life, or he's calling demons from another realm or something.
So they released a scene of what that is, but they didn't show it in this episode. So I'm gonna let you sit on that for a little bit.
Okay, gotcha.
But very, very effective horror scenes. I agree. I love the quote unquote blackout moments, right? Where Steven becomes Mark apparently for a little bit. I believe we're going to be able. I think we're going to get replays of these happening, of what actually happened in those moments from the other side down the road. I think we'll get the Mark Spector point of view for this. I say that because there is a scene that didn't happen in this one. Steven woke up literally with his jaw was dislocated in like some weird European town. But like in the trailers, we actually see him fall out of that building. So I think we're missing that connection point there.
Yeah. Did you were you also staring very, very intently at the cupcake truck as he was driving down? I was like, I don't see Victor Von Doom anywhere on these boxes.
No, just happened to be a cupcake thing there that he did throw at the bad guys, which I thought was pretty funny. And then we got to see the creepy Khonshu coming down the hallway scene. A lot of the trailers was in this first episode. We say a lot of the trailers are in the first episode, and guess what? Most of the trailer was in this first episode. It even ended.
That's how. Yeah, that's how it always is. Like with movie, like TV shows in general, right? A trailer for any TV show, it's always the first episode.
There's some Moon Knight stuff we didn't get to see. We didn't get to see Moon Knight appear until the end of this, when he's literally beating the hell out of this Anubis Egyptian-looking creature in the bathroom. So obviously not Werewolf by Night, like a lot of people are assuming. Definitely not Mephisto, you stupid people on the internet. But it was fun to see him, like literally, like the way it cuts around there, like the bathroom sink flies out of the bathroom, and then the next thing you know, he is Moon Knight in his outfit and is taking over control of this. The idea of Steven, missing time is going to be interesting. I think we're going to play with that a little bit. And then, I don't know. There's really not a lot to this other than just the actors really selling this all the way through. I think Ethan Hawke's a great actor as Harrow. I think, again, Oscar Isaac, who has not signed on for another season or any other Marvel stuff, is really selling this. I think he's doing a great job. And
I'm really curious what the inciting incident overall is, right? How did this, mystic creature from Egyptian lore possibly make it into this human character? So I'm looking forward to the origin of that. I'm curious if the mythology is going to cross over with like Doctor Strange in any way. Like, is there going to be like a book, that we would maybe traditionally see inside of one of those sorcerer libraries, and Ethan Hawke's hands in some way? But yeah, overall, very positive experience overall for Moon Knight, and I feel like we're just getting started.
Yeah, like I wish we had more to discuss about this, which sucks. I'm very excited to see Mr. Knight. I personally think there are 3 personalities in the body. I think there's Stephen, Mark, and another one, and the other one's the Mr. Knight personality. Like, it's not Mark. Like, there's there's possibly because Mark's a mercenary, Stephen is the timid guy, and I think the other one's gonna be like maybe more business minded a little bit, and that's why he gets the business suit look to it. So I think there's a lot of questions, and I think if you've been kind of holding off watching this, do you like? I think you've got to watch it to experience it, because I'm very thrilled to say this is the least connected Marvel property we've watched in a long time. Like, you don't have to watch anything else before this. You don't have to watch any, there's nothing in it that's linking out to anything at this moment. It's very standalone, and I really enjoy that. It's not knocking the whole everything's connected, but I do enjoy that it's just standalone by itself.
We didn't even get one of those little moments where there's a newspaper in the background that talks about the blip in any way or something like that. And I'll be totally happy to see them incorporate that into the show. But yeah, as of right now, it just kind of feels like its own thing.
Yeah, and then that's great for that. So I don't know. I mean, I don't have much else to say. It's a really good show. I think the mysteries are going to uncover as we move through the episodes, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Is this is, like you said about the intrigue being resolved as we kind of move through this character, and what's his place in the MCU, and does he even have a place at the end of the show? Is it just a one season kind of thing? So very, very excited. Anything else you want to add before we?
No, I think that's it. You kind of got to watch it to experience. Not much to pull out, but great time so far. Yeah. Didn't they sign on one of the writers from Moon Knight to something else in the future?
Yeah, Nova.
Nova, that's right. So so if you're watching this show and having a good time, that's all the good signs pointing towards Nova, which is great.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's great. All right, well, Mike, we've done 2 episodes today, so we're gonna cut this one about at the hour mark. And if people want to know more about what you're doing, what you're up to, where can they find you at?
Oh, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you like me, you can go read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. If you hate me, you can go read them there too. But,
Wow.
I want the people that like me to go there first.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah. Chris, if people want to follow you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or Instagram, Valdan87. And I just want to say, I don't want this to drag this out, Mike. I want you to write your next topic, but I'm proud of us for not touching the Academy Awards today. That was
Oh my God, I was just thinking about that.
That was very low-hanging fruit, and we left it alone. So
yeah, I was like, this is our public service to you out there that we didn't want to give you yet another day of Academy Awards nonsense.
Hot takes.
But-
Hot takes.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you're curious about the headquarters for all things Superhero Slate, you can head over to superheroslate.com. That is the best place to find our show and to get our awesome show notes. So if you want to see everything itemized that we talked about today, if you want to see that promo for the Doctor Strange tickets that are going to be dropping on Wednesday, there's actually a little bit of a reveal of like a villain mob type character in that little teaser. You can go check that out. We got the link in our show notes. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts. You can get our review for Morbius, our spoiler cast review of Morbius in that same feed. superheroslate.com. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Please reach out. Let us know what you thought about Mark Spector and Moon Knight in this week's episode of Moon Knight. We will be back every week, folks, to talk about these updates if there's something to pull out of each exciting episode. And if you want to be a super fan of the show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend and share the show with a buddy. And we'll see you next week.
That's right. You guys have a good week. We'll catch you then.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.